good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, Facebook. Um, it is time for another installment in my Justice June series, where we'll be talking about the spiritual and metaphysical elements behind transcending racism. Today, I want to talk about something that I have been talking about actually off and on for years now, and have been vilified. Being full on honest, I have been vilified around this for years now, and it's been one of the reasons why I haven't talked a lot about it publicly, um, because in order to understand this, you really need to understand consciousness and vibration. And we're going to be speaking from that perspective today. But I really want to talk to my souls in black bodies today. If you are a soul in a black body, this talk is for you. It's not going to be a long one, but it is for you. And if you're not a soul in a black body, just please be mindful about what you comment in this space. As we are not really speaking and focusing on you today, we're speaking specifically for souls in black bodies. Just be very mindful. Remember, I protect my boundaries. I do not have a problem with blocking. And this is a space for compassion and understanding and learning. And I'm trying to give as much information as I can to help us transcend the experience of racism for us all. So today I'm going to be speaking directly to the souls in black bodies for something we need to understand to help us transcend racism. And that is, in order to transcend racism, we are going to have to take responsibility for our part in its manifestation. And I know for a lot of people that is a very triggering word because how we've been really approaching the conversation of it as souls in black bodies is that is a white person's problem. That is something they're doing to us. It doesn't have anything to do with us. We're not creating it. We don't have any creation part of it. We don't have any manifestation part of it. And that actually is not true. And it's being falsely taught, and it's one of the reasons why we're stuck in this pattern and this cycle of keeping manifesting and experiencing this, is because we're not understanding our role, our part in its manifestation. Are they manifesting? Are they manifesting it? Do they have shit to work on? Are they doing it out of their own consciousness and their vibration? Absolutely. But are we doing it as well? Are we manifesting it out of our consciousness and vibration? Absolutely. As well. And so I want to shed some light on what that is and how that's happening so we can begin to understand that, because as a soul being, one of the main universal truths is that you are the creator of your reality. Now, we co-create our reality when we are in collective, and I'll be talking about that in a second, but you are the sovereign being. There is no greater energy in your life but you, other than you. You're the greatest energy in your life. You're the greatest creative energy in your life. And so we need to talk about that. And we need to talk about how that's happening and what we need to kind of start to do and look at so we can make those shifts so this can happen. I'm speaking about this one. Oh, by the way, before we start, just get some housekeeping. If you have a question, put it in the comments with hashtag Ask Jerome, and then write your question. Do not inbox me your question. If you inbox me your question, I'm going to delete it. I get enough inbox messages as they are. When you inbox me your questions, it clutters my inbox and it drains my energy. And I take care of my energy very well. And so I'm not going to be reading your question. I'll be deleting it immediately as soon as I see it's a question. So if it's a question, put it in the comments here with hashtag Ask Jerome, and I will respond to it either in this video or in a future video. Also, if you like to donate to me, so I'm so grateful for many of you all who have donated in the past videos that I've done. This is video 7 in this series. Thank you so much who've donated in the past ones. You can donate to my Cash App at jbraggs40, or you can send it through PayPal at Jerome, to my email, jerome@jeromebraggs.com. So, having said all that, setting the ground rules. Hey Cheryl and Nancy and Anna and all of you all joining, Joelle. This is something I learned in my own journey. when when after I had my near death experience, and I was told, and I crossed over to the other side, and I was told on the other side that the key to my healing was to learn how to fully love myself and to let life love me. And then that started a very mystical healing journey for me. After that, a multi-year mystical healing journey. And one of the things in that healing journey that I had to heal in order to heal my body, and now I had died because I had been diagnosed with two terminal diseases and several life-threatening illnesses. And so, in order to heal my body, I had to really take a deep dive into all of those. Hey Cheryl, the show's asking about the links for the donations. They're at the top in the description of this video. So I have both of the Cash App and the PayPal in the description of this video. If you look up there. So I was told in order to heal myself, I had to really look at all the wounds that I had, and all the emotional wounds that I had, all the things in my vibration that were not in alignment with the truth and energy of my soul. I had to learn how to clean up my consciousness, the beliefs in my consciousness that were limiting and toxic. I had to learn how to clean up the things in my vibration that were toxic. And part of that happened was I began to become aware of all the things that were put in my consciousness and put in my vibration that were toxic, that I was running and I was creating experiences from my experience of racism. And there were beliefs like I'm not enough, like I'm not safe in this world. They were things like me feeling that not all of my truth, I couldn't live all of my truth in this world, and that my truth wasn't safe to be in this world. So I had to look at all of that, and I did a lot of healing around that. And when I began to shift those beliefs, and I began to shift those vibrations, and vibration is just an emotional feeling that you have. It literally, the feelings that we have in our body vibrate. They send an energy signature, and that energy signature manifests things. It draws to it experiences, relationships, and people that are a match to it. And so when I began to do that and do the work of healing my vibration and healing my belief system, I began to have a completely different experience with race. And I began to have a completely different experience with racism. And I learned from that it wasn't this thing that was happening to me. It was this thing that was happening through me. And that is the big thing that we are not being told as black souls, is that racism is not just something that's happening to us, it's something that is happening through us. So as a soul, how this world works, and we've talked about this in the other videos in greater detail, but how this world works is this is the world of reflection. It is not we've been taught that this is the real world, and it is the world of reality, but it's not the real true world. The real true world is your inner world. And so what ends up happening is you have beliefs and you have a vibration, and those are filtered. They act as filters. And then the energy of source, you can call it the energy of God if you want, the energy of your higher self, the energy of creator or whatever. It's the energy that literally creates life and creates reality. It flows through you, through this filter, and hits this filter. And then the filter determines what shape it takes, that energy takes when it shows up in your life. So for instance, if you believe you're not enough, you cannot manifest relationships or experiences or work environments that are going to make you feel enough. They're always going to make you feel quite not enough. And so you're going to be moving through your whole life feeling not enough and thinking that what's happening is, I don't feel enough because my job is doing this way. Or I don't feel enough because my partner's cheating on me. Or I don't feel enough. And you're not realizing that the reason why this is actually happening is because you don't feel enough, not because of that. And this is the thing to understand, is that your vibration, how you emotionally feel, determines who gets to show up in your life and how they get to act when they get there. I'm going to say this again. I'm going to say this a few times tonight because this is really important. Your vibration, how you emotionally feel, especially habitually, how you habitually emotionally feel determines who gets to show up in your life, meaning who you attract to you, who gets to be, and how they behave once they get there. So again, if you feel like you're not enough, if you feel like something's wrong with you, what's going to happen is you're going to attract people to you that are going to press that. They're going to make you see that something's wrong with you. They're going to make you feel some type of way that you're not enough. And they're going to behave in ways that they're never going to behave in a way that's going to make you fully feel enough, right? Because they have to be a reflection of your vibration. You can't get work. You won't be able to manifest work if you don't feel enough. You won't be able to manifest work or a job or a business. Even if you start a business, you're an entrepreneur. You won't be able to start a business that will make you feel enough if you don't feel enough. No matter what, you're always going to be, I need one more degree, I need one more certificate, I need to add one more thing. You're always going to be in this rat race. And you're going to be thinking it's because, well, clients aren't showing up, or I'm not making enough money. You're going to be thinking that's the thing. But what's actually causing that is your feeling of not feeling enough. Same thing goes for if you have fear. This is another thing. If you are afraid, if you don't feel safe in this world, if you don't feel fully, if there's an area of your life that you feel afraid in, or you have terror in, or some type of way, you have to manifest a reason to be afraid. You have to manifest it. This is the thing about understanding that we are soul beings, and this is something Black people, we have not really been fully taught. Even in spiritual circles, they're still not fully teaching us the fullness of our sovereignty around this. So if you have fears, right, then the thing that's going to happen is you have to manifest a reason to be afraid. The universe cannot make you crazy. This is another thing about the universe. The universe is unconditionally loving of you. And so it can't make you crazy. So if you really believe something, you have to have evidence of it. You have to have evidence of it somewhere. So if you are afraid, you have to manifest a reason to be afraid. So if you feel like you're not safe, you have to manifest a reason to not be safe. And I'm going to tie all this into what this has to do with racism in a minute. But follow me here, because I'm going to tie it all in. If you are afraid, you have to manifest a reason to be afraid. If you don't feel safe, you have to manifest a reason to not feel safe, no matter where you got that belief from. And this is the thing about how our beliefs are formed. First the belief gets formed, right? So, and I talked a little bit about this. I talked a little bit about this the last time with in the last video about how supremacist and racist beliefs are formed in us, and the top 3 ways they're formed in us. But so you can go back and look at that, because that actually has to do with this as well. But beliefs are formed in us, one, by our family system that we grew up in. So from the time, a child's brain is formed from the time it's born to about 7 years old. A child's brain is in theta waves, and theta waves are literally the waves that our brains are in, where they're in hypnosis mode. So when they're literally taking in outer stimuli to really start to begin and shape our beliefs, right? And so what that basically means is you're just literally a sponge taking in everything that's coming in on the outside. 1, what your parents or your caregivers believe. 2, what your peer system believes. And then 3, what the environment around you believes. So that just goes right in you, and you don't have a filter that says stop, or you don't have a filter that says no, not that. It just goes all the way in. And so some of the things that we're afraid of, the beliefs and vibrations that we hold, actually come from our parents and our environment and our culture. And this is, if your parents, you grow up, if you're a black American, you grew up with parents who have certain viewpoints about what blackness is and the safeness of it in the world, and what do I want to say? The safeness of the world and your feeling of worthiness. And so, one of the things that happens with that is, um, so that gets entrained in you. And so, for our parents, for a lot of our parents, they grew up and had experiences, and they also had this happen for them when they were children, right? So, they've had a lifetime of feeling less than for being black. They've had a lifetime of feeling not fully safe, right? Not feeling fully enough in this world. And so you get parts of that. Also, trauma is passed through, right? So if the trauma of racism that our parents have was also passed to us, it was passed not just genetically, but how most of trauma is passed is through the energy field. It is passed through your energy field. And there have been countless studies. There was a study done at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York where they looked at um, people that had gone through the Holocaust victims and their descendants. And they looked at the person that had gone through the Holocaust, and they looked through the stress hormones that were in the body, the levels of stress hormones that were in the body. And they measured that, and also some of the behavioral responses that person that had been through the Holocaust and all of the trauma of the Holocaust, like the Jewish people that had been through the Holocaust, all of the Holocaust victims that they had gone through that, and the behaviors that they adapted, like some of the coping behaviors and some of the fear responses that they had based upon their experience. And then they looked at 3 generations down, and they looked at their kids. And what they found was their kids who had not been in the Holocaust and who had not been under such duress and stress and absolute genocide, they had the exact same levels of stress hormones in the body, and they were exhibiting some of the exact same behaviors and coping mechanisms and responses to certain stimuli, even though they had never been introduced to that stimuli before. Their parents had been, but they had never been introduced to that particular stimuli before, but they were reacting in the same way their parents were. Why is that? What they found was, again, trauma is passed through. It's passed through the genes, but as a soul, more things are not passed through the genes. They're passed through the energy field, right? So that's the kids. They also looked at the grandchildren. This was 2 generations down. The grandchildren also had the same level of stress hormones in the body. The same as the person who had been through the trauma. And by the way, these stress hormones were very different than people that have not been through trauma at all, right? The grandchildren had the same level of stress hormones, and they were exhibiting the exact same behaviors, the exact same fear responses, and the exact same coping mechanisms. And they have done countless studies on this before, and they found that trauma passes through generations. We pass trauma through. And we pass not just the trauma, but we pass the behaviors that arise through the trauma. And this is the other part that I want to say, that they're not studying, that those of us who can see energy and read energy, and those of us who are like high intuitives can tell you, is that the other part that you pass through is your beliefs. You pass beliefs through. And so why is this important for us black souls? So you already have heard about you know about post-traumatic syndrome, but there's also post-slave syndrome, which is the Africans who were enslaved, the trauma of that is getting passed down through generations. You've been hearing about that, right? But you haven't been really understanding what that means. What it means is you have a belief system about yourself that's not even yours. That's not even yours. You have a belief system that you're not enough. You have a belief system that you are not safe in this world. You have a belief system that all of your needs aren't going to be met. That you're going to have to work really hard to get your needs met. These are the belief systems that are passed down through trauma from our ancestors who were enslaved. You have those, guaranteed. And then you get them compounded when you come into it, when you're born into your family system, and then your parents also begin to talk about it. They begin to talk about, don't you know, the police is not safe. Because again, listen, I'm gonna say right now, if you're a black soul, you know very well what age did you learn where to put your hands on the steering wheel if a policeman showed up. Our white brothers and sisters aren't taught that. But you were taught before you even have an experience with the police. The police are something to fear. Right into the consciousness. The police are something to fear. They're something to be afraid of. You're not fully safe around them. You're not fully safe as a black person. You need to act this way and speak this way, because if you don't do that, you're not really enough. You won't get a job. All of these are, so you get, again, socialized. So the trauma has passed down. Then you get socialization on top of that. And so what ends up happening is you have this belief system that you're not fully safe in the world as a black person, that you're not enough as a black person, that all of your needs are going to be met. And so then you develop these vibrations. And then from these vibrations, you manifest experiences that affirm, confirm, and reflect that. They can only do those three things. When you have a vibration and you have a belief system, your reality has to confirm it, it has to affirm it, and it has to reflect it. This is where racism is coming from our part. This is where it's coming from our part. So just like, and I'll give you a metaphor, just like an abusive relationship. So there's an abusive relationship. There are two people in this relationship. It's an abusive relationship. One person's getting abused, whether they're getting physically abused or emotionally abused. The other person is abusing that person, right? What we know, and if you're a healer or you do any type of therapy or spiritual work or coaching, what you know is both sides have a responsibility in how that relationship showed up. The person who is abusing has a responsibility to look at what beliefs do they hold that makes them want to abuse somebody. What are the emotional trauma and the emotions within them that they need to look at that's making them want to harm somebody? And why would they attract a relationship where they need to harm or they need to dominate or oppress another person? That is what they need to look at. And they need to work on that separately. That's their thing to work on, right? That is their responsibility. There, as a sovereign being, that is their thing to look at. So that is what our white souls need to look at, right? But in that same relationship, the person who was abused, right after you get them out of the abusive situation and you start to do the healing work with them, the work that you do with them is looking at what is it in your energy field, what is it in your vibration, and what is it in your belief system that would attract someone to you to harm you, and what is it in your belief system that manifests experiences for you that don't serve you. You have to look at that. Not just why are you choosing these type of people. You have to look at, like, what is it that makes you choose these people, but what is it that continues to attract these type of people to you? Because what you know, and what we all know, and if you know, if you're a therapist or a healer or a coach or anything like this, what you know is you can separate that person from that relationship. But if you don't work on that aspect of them, the next relationship they get in is going to be exactly like that. It's going to be a different person, but they're going to be in another abusive relationship. Because they're going to continue to attract these situations. This is what I'm talking about. We are, as black folks, we're in this abusive relationship. We have to get our shit together and look at what is it in us that is attracting these situations to us, where we are being brutalized, where we are being harmed, where we are being, what's the word I'm trying to look for? Oppressed, where we are being made to be less than. What is it in us? And the thing in it is, again, you cannot attract a harmful situation in you. You cannot attract a fearful, harmful situation if you don't have fear. You can attract somebody to you that's going to make you feel less than if you don't feel less than. If you feel fully lovable and fully worthy unconditionally, you will not attract someone to you that's going to make you feel less than that. You cannot. And that's the real work. That's the real healing work we need to do as black souls that nobody anywhere is helping us do, really, as a collective. We're not learning that in our church, in our churches. We're not learning that in school. School is the system that church, and a lot of places in church, is consistently helping you feel less than and consistently helping you feel more afraid. School is definitely making you feel less than. They're not teaching you about the parts of your history and your ancestry that will make you feel worthy and make you feel empowered. You're not learning how to trust in life. And this is the work that we have to do as black souls. In addition to systems change, in addition to our white brothers and sisters doing their work, I'll speak to them in another video, but in addition to them having to do their work, we have to do our work too. We have to take our responsibility because we are no less of a soul than they are, which means we have no less creative power for our reality than they do. We are both creating, and this is how you co-create. So a person who feels like, that moves through the world feeling like a victim, and what I mean by victim is I mean like not safe in the world, or like the world is out to get them, the world is out to threaten them or harm them, then that person must attract to them someone who is a predator. The person who just feels like the world is out to get them must attract somebody who's here to get them. You must. You cannot attract to yourself, and you cannot manifest in your life something that completely negates your belief system and your vibration. It has to be, again, whatever you manifest and whatever you attract has to confirm, affirm, and reflect what you believe and how you feel. This is the deep, 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 deep work as black souls we have got to start doing. It's working on changing our belief systems that have been instilled in us through the trauma that has been passed on through us, as well as through the socialization we got in church, in school, and in our family systems that have made us afraid, that have made us feel less than worthy, less than enough, and that have made us feel like our needs aren't going to be met. And that is the work that I had to do for myself to live. Like, I had to do this work, not just I wasn't trying to end racism for myself. I was trying to heal from a disease where doctors told me I had days to live. I was trying to heal. And so I had to look at what are the places in me that don't trust in the health of my body? What are the places in me that don't feel enough? What are the places in me that are afraid and are ashamed? And as I began to heal those beliefs that I had, that were shame and fear-based beliefs, and when I began to heal those vibrations in me and shift them, my whole life shifted. I did that video again in the series, and go watch it, where I talked about the spiders, and where I talked about the incident I had with spiders really helped me really shift back into trust. And when I began to trust, my entire experience with race changed. I used to have a horrible relationship with white folks. Full transparency moment. I was on the verge of like, I can't stand them. If I don't ever see them again, I'm good. That was where I was on. I had a lot of racism in high school growing up. I went to a private school where I was one of two black people in my graduating class. I had a lot of incidents with the police. I had a lot of things, and I was having them weekly. And by the way, you guys, and I moved to Atlanta to try and get away from that. Went to a HBCU to try and get away with that. And while I was in that isolated event, all was good. But when I came back home, I was right back into my old belief systems, right? And I was manifesting all this stuff, being stopped by the police, I went to jail a time. I was wrongfully arrested and sent to jail. All of this stuff, right? When I began to shift my beliefs and I began to look at where I was really afraid, and one of the things is our beliefs are very, very, very good at hiding themselves. I can promise you, because this is the work I do with people, I really help them really uncover their beliefs and shift them and heal them. And one thing I can tell you, from doing work with people around the world for years, hundreds of people by now, I have yet to meet a person who is aware of everything they really believe. I have never met that person yet. Most people are not really aware of everything you believe. It's because they're very slick and very well at hiding under the surface of things. And so, especially fear and shame, they are extremely, Cheryl says they are insidious. That is the word I was looking for. They are extremely insidious. They are, fear and shame is extremely insidious. It hides. And so you may think, oh, I don't have any fear. I don't fear white people, or I don't fear the world, or I don't have any shame. And then, but when you look at how you're behaving and what's really showing up in your life, you'll be able to see, oh my God, I do have fear. Oh my God, I do have shame. And these are the things we have as Black souls. We have a lot of fear and we have a lot of shame. And we have to heal. And those things are manifesting relationships, experiences, and events. I told you that you have a personal, so you have a personal reality, and your personal reality, so I'm going to speak about this before we end it here. You have a personal reality, and your personal reality as a soul being is you are the creative energy for that. So you are the only energy that is creating your personal reality, and you're creating it based upon your belief systems and your vibrations. Now, you also have a collective reality, and that's the shared reality that we have. And that is a mixture, that is a connection based on, as a soul, you're connected to everyone. You're one with everyone. And that is, that collective reality is a manifestation of the collective beliefs, right? And so you have personal beliefs. So like me, like I told you, I've been working on really my trust. I trust in life. I trust that life loves me. I trust that I'm safe in this world. And so I have manifested a personal experience that starts to mirrors that back to me. So all of my situations with the police shifted. Like I had an experience once where I was driving without a license. I had my insurance had lapsed. I did not have my seatbelt on. I was in the hood part of the city. I was bumping my music loud. I had a do-rag on at that time and my hat turned up. I was looking like the exact image of what the police would arrest. And I had all the reason for them to arrest me. And before I have been arrested for nothing. And I had gotten tickets for nothing. And I was in the same neighborhood where I had gotten arrested before. And these police pulled me over. And I was in a different space. I had trusted that I was okay. I didn't believe I had anything to fear. I knew that I'm enough and that life loves me. And as I began to be pulled over, I began to remind myself of that and feel that. And the police walked up and he was like, let me see your license. Let me run your registration. He was like, you don't have any insurance. Your license is expired. Or was it expired or I didn't have it? I didn't have it. And he was like, I have every reason to arrest you right now. But I was like, I understand. And he was like, but I'm going to let you go. I'm going to let you go. Go home. Go as long as you go home right now. And that has all of my instances with the police has been since I have done my shifting work. And the same thing with my experiences with white people. I have the white people in my life that have been attracted to me now are the definition of true ally. True ally. They do their work. They are conscious about their things. They're doing their own healing work with their own beliefs. They fully support me. They don't do any microaggressions against me. We don't have any type of oppression in our relationship. 180-degree turn. And this is the type of thing in my personal experience. I don't experience racism anymore. In the collective, I see it, right? Because in the collective, we still have these collective beliefs as Black folks that are manifesting this. And this is why, one, individually, you have to do your individual work, because that's how transformation and transcendence happens. It happens when you do your personal work, and then you shift your personal reality, And then you come out into the collective and you help the collective shift. You have to do it that way first. It doesn't happen the other way around. And this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to do it the outside way. We're trying to make the collective shift before we shift our personal stuff, and it doesn't happen like that. That's why we keep going round and round and round and round and round. It's kind of like you need to move from this burning house, but instead of moving from the burning house, you're rearranging the furniture inside the house and telling yourself you moved. That's what's happening. And this is what we need to change. We need to actually move out of the house. And the house is the belief systems that we have, the limiting and toxic belief systems that we have been given through our generational trauma, and then our negative socialization, and then the feelings we have because of those beliefs, the vibrations we have because of those beliefs. Again, remember, your vibration determines who gets to show up in your life. You cannot attract racist people to you if you don't have the beliefs in you that reflect their racism. A racist person believes you're not enough. A racist person believes they can do whatever they want to you. A racist person believes you're less than. When your energy doesn't match that in any way, when you don't have out any energy in your system that you're not enough, when you don't have energy in your system that you're not that feels like you're not safe, when you feel fully safe, and when you know that there's nothing less than about you, you can't attract that person. That person won't even come into your field. It's like a magnet. They can't even come into your field space. They can't even come to you. They can walk into a room where you're in, and somehow they will be distracted and go over into the other corner for some reason, and they'll never see you. And you'll never see them. This is how energy actually works. And we're not really taught energy and the laws of who we are as a soul. We are not really taught this. And this is why we're not really manifesting transcendence. And it is time, and our souls are crying out for transcendence around this. We deserve well-being. We deserve well-being. We are worthy beings who are here to experience heaven on earth. We are here to be the presence of heaven and experience the energy and feeling of heaven on earth. And instead, we've been experiencing hell because nobody's teaching us how to get the hellish beliefs and hellish energy out of our field. And that's what I'm trying to do here. Now, I know everybody's not going to agree. I know there was a lot of messages before this saying, you can't say black people are responsible. You can't say that we have anything to do with this racism. That's all white people. You're problematic. Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you straight up. I know who you are. You are God in physical form. And I am not in any shape or form like wavering on that. I know who you are. I see it. I see that energy. That is part of my intuitive gifts here in this video. I can see who you are fully. I know. You're not peace. You're not like a little small part of God. You're not like something. You are God in physical form. You are manifesting. There is nothing else manifesting in your life. It's you. But nobody taught you about the power that you are. They're continuing to put these narratives out there that make you feel that reaffirm this belief that you're some small thing. You're not that. You're not that. You are not that. You are the literal thing that is creating the world. Literally. But instead you're doing it by default. Instead of doing it intentionally and creating what actually works for you and what actually feeds your light and your energy and the expression of your divinity and what actually feeds your soul, you are creating things that steal from it. You are creating things that oppress it. You are such a powerful being that you can even create oppression, and that's